Hello everyone, and in this video I'm going to be going over episode 44 of Digimon Ghost Game, which is called Rust. Now, before we get into it, we do know that Ghost Game is nearing its climax according to lead scriptwriter Masashi Sogo. So he said this in his blog about how the script is nearing its climax. So that means that maybe we're done with Ghost Game the next few months, or at least by the end of the year. This is, shouldn't be too surprising because most episodes of each series seem to only go up to 66 or at most, or 75 in the case of Young Hunters and Cross Wars, but typically around 50 something. So this being episode 44, it makes sense that we would be nearing the final arc of the show. We also do know that in November we'll be having the Vital Bracelet BE released, which also means upgraded BE memories in terms of not being DIMs anymore for Gammamon, Jellymon, and Angoramon. So one would assume that any Megas that show up later on in the show will be on the BE memories for those three characters, so not to be spoiling any events of the series itself. So I guess I would assume that means that Ghost Game will probably be either wrapping up completely or wrapped up by November when the BE releases. As far as I'm aware, the BE doesn't have like a mentioned release date, full release date yet, like not the day, but we do know it's probably going to be in late November. So that gives us some kind of ballpark for when Ghost Game itself will finish, and it seems like it'll probably finish by the end of the year, and if not, maybe early next year. So that would make sense because that would probably put it in the ballpark of having 50 to 60-ish episodes or thereabouts, which is pretty average in terms of a Digimon series. So I was starting to actually think, considering how episodic Ghost Game is, that the show itself was going to be more of a longer running series, like a lot of other anime series, not just Digimon being just 50 episodes for one story and then you move on to a different universe. I thought that they might have been ditching that finally and going with a more longer format, 100 episode series, mostly filler or episodic in nature, with a few plot episodes sprinkled throughout. But that turns out to not be the case. It seems to be maybe just a more episodic series of Digimon, just like Atmon, or I guess in a shorter series, Young Hunters, where it does have that episodic but with one major arc or one major battle at the end. But in any case, so nothing new, more surprising in Ghost Game as opposed to other series of Digimon being 50 to 60-ish episodes. So we do know that. So there's a climax coming at some point, and I would predict that, judging by the BE release, it'll be by the end of the year. So that's that for that news. So in terms of this week's episode, it was somewhat surprising to have the Monster of the Week be Antillamon. So this episode had a character who was helping people get these limited edition items by ordering through a website. We find out that this website is another one of Jellymon's business ventures, because of course it was, and she's actually been working alongside of Antillamon, who were able to deliver these rare items through this ordering form on the website. However, they are actually, in order to make these items, they are using materials from the building, kind of like trading one material for another. So that's kind of an interesting way to go about it, and I thought that was pretty interesting. And I was also surprised it was actually Antillamon. Specifically, it was a smaller Antillamon. They were able to go small size, and then later on for the fight, of course, they had to be the bigger size. So in terms of this episode being just a Digimon-like episode, I felt the whole time, it just felt very Digimon. However, it had a not-so-Digimon conclusion, which was nice. They were unable to actually beat the Antillamon, so Jellymon had to go through and cancel all the orders from the person's computer that was making all the orders. So that felt like a more unique solution to the whole episode, rather than just let's do a big battle, a big fight to be the solution. So that was interesting. Another point that I found was quite interesting was the fact that Jellymon actually was told off by Kiyoshiro, and she seemed to actually be really, like, genuinely sorry for her actions. She seemed actually remorseful for what she did, and she actually blamed herself. She didn't try to make excuses. We also find out that these Antilamon came to the human world to help out because they met Hero's father. So at the end of the episode, they're like, oh, it was just Hero's father who was to blame the whole time. That was kind of an interesting thing. I still think it's Jellymon to be blamed. I don't know why they tried to shift the blame off Jellymon. That was kind of a little bit weird. Something else I liked was the animation this episode was just pretty fantastic. I liked that. And overall it was an okay episode. I do like the fact that Jellymon seems to be called out for her bad actions, because that doesn't really happen. But overall it felt kind of fine. I'm kind of was expecting Jellymon to be controlled by another human. But she just ended up solving the battle in some other way. But otherwise, not that much to say about this episode. It was fine. I kind of thought that some of it was a bit convenient, just to SBMon happening to know about the Monster of the Week happenings, and then again at tying in Jellymon. It's very convenient, but that's a lot of Ghost Game. But in any case, those are my thoughts for this week's episode. Super quick thoughts this week, because I've been pretty busy this weekend, so I'm just getting this out of the way so I can go rest, so I'm recovered for work tomorrow. But in any case, let me know your thoughts on Ghost Game wrapping up soon, or this week's episode in the comment section below. Like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and of course, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!